What are you expecting in tomorrow's discussion with the vice president?
Well, thank you, Lawrence, for having me on. We're here in Texas, we're in Dallas, and, Texas really is ground zero for the abortion fight. This is the state that pioneered the idea of a bounty law that allows people to collect cash bounties by suing people who assist anyone in getting an abortion. Abortion is completely illegal here, other than to save the life of the pregnant woman. It's one of the state. It's the state with one of the most harsh abortion laws in the country. And I'm really interested to hear what Vice President Harris has to say, because not only is she the first woman vice president and really the voice of the administration on this issue, she's a former prosecutor. Who dealt with issues of exploited women, who've dealt with rape, et cetera, when she was a prosecutor. And I am just curious to hear her perspective on how we live in a world where the criminals in states like Texas are people who try to assist women who are in some of the worst crises of their lives. They are now the criminals, with incredibly harsh penalties facing them if they try to help women to get medical care. It's quite a shift for the country, and I'm sure that she has lots of thoughts on it. And she and I both have children who have fewer rights than we did and who've gone status quo ante to the time before either she or I were born.
And she's obviously expert on the novel kind of legal issues that have developed in the abortion ban movement around these Republican states, where they're actually, beyond just trying to ban abortion in their states, they're trying to control interstate travel. They're trying to reach across state borders to things that residents of their states might do when they're not in their states. We've never seen anything like that.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the big lie, there is a big lie in the anti-abortion world as well, and that it's that they just wanted to return it to the states and let the 50 laboratories of democracy decide on abortion law. No, what they want is a national prohibition on abortion. And if you get anti-abortion activists, the really, the hardest core advocates, and give them a little sodium pentothal, or even not any sodium pentothal, some of them will just admit it. What they want is a total ban. And these bans on interstate travel are a part of that. They don't want women in blue states to be able to get abortions any more than they want them in states like Texas. Right now, it is legal for women in Texas to travel across state lines, and I suspect a lot of them will be going to Mexico if they can get there, because if you try to go north, you got to go pretty far if you live in the American South, because they have locked the former slave states in a sort of cord around the women of the former Confederate states, and happy Juneteenth. So it is kind of sort of poetic that they've locked the former slave states, which all, by the way, very few of them expanded Obamacare. So what they're essentially saying is that women in the states that have the worst healthcare outcomes, the highest female mortality in terms of childbirth, particularly women of color, the states with some of the worst performing preschools or who don't even fund preschool and essentially provide very little care for women who have children and for children, are saying, nope, everybody has to give birth, no matter what, raped, incest victim, child, we don't care. You're going to give birth. And so we're going to have some stakeholders sitting alongside the vice president, some of whom have suffered real injury, material injury, and sometimes permanent medical injury because of these laws.
Oh, so this will be a conversation beyond just the two of you.
Absolutely. So we're going to have, and one of the guests that I am the most excited to talk with, when people talk about the end of Roe, they talk about Dobbs, and that's sort of the shorthand that we use. But there was another part to that case. It was Jackson Women's Health. And we're going to have the woman who ran Jackson Women's Health, which was the last standing abortion clinic in the entire state of Mississippi, and is the Jackson Women's Health that was the other half of the name of the case that ended the right to an abortion in this country. And I'm fascinated to see a conversation between her and the Vice President of the United States. We also have one of the women who is suing the state of Texas because she had a negative health outcome during a wanted pregnancy, but because of the restrictions and the ban on abortion in the state, she couldn't get care. What people need to understand is that banning abortion doesn't just put the lives of pregnant women at risk, of children at risk. It puts women who want to have a child at risk, because there is such a thing as a pregnancy that goes wrong. And if your doctor is afraid to treat you, you wind up filling up a diaper full of blood in the parking lot before they'll even look at you because they're afraid of going to prison for life, which is the penalty in the state of Texas.